Welcome to everyone here that is early. 2 more minutes, then we'll kick off the community call. I've decided to dox myself this week. I feel like we spent enough time together getting to know each other such that I could show face. Since it's the core community, I think that's totally fine. And not to mention we have some conferences coming up in the next couple of months. I think we have Cannes and we have a couple others, ETHCC, and then a couple others. We won't be at Token 2049. However, we will be representing Stargate and the Stargate DAO at a couple conferences through the rest of the year. So I think it's only right that I sort of show face and represent the brand in this way. I am wearing the Stargate hoodie after all. Just going to drop a link for everyone to come in, and then we can kick things off. It's been a busy couple weeks, that's for sure. Lots has been going on. Let me get the Stargate link. Copy link. And cool. It is 5 p.m. in the United Kingdom. Time to kick us off and discuss all the great things that have been happening within the Stargate DAO, within governance, with respect to the product and the protocol. As you can see here, I have a custom-made puck with the Stargate logo branded on it. And this is to represent our ambitions to skate to where the puck is going, not to where it was. We truly believe in capturing user behavior, capturing user growth, finding those sticky users, generating lots of volume, keeping the bridge as the cheapest option in the entire market, such that when the real world comes on chain, when the RWAs come on chain, when the institutional order flow comes in, Stargate's there, having proven itself as a bridge, as a sort of cross-chain value transfer protocol that can fulfill all the different kinds of target markets that it might need to. Alrighty, I'll kick us off with our regular preface to the Stargate Finance Community Call. So welcome everyone. This is the Stargate Finance Community Call, where we discuss proposals and ideas that will help shape and govern the Stargate protocol. Feel free to join the conversation, and I do mean this, feel free to join the conversation on stage anytime you have a question by clicking the raise hand button at the bottom of the screen. Should be able to see that on your interface. Or as per usual, simply add comments in the chat. Both are more than welcome. It's great to see some comments coming in from early members. This is a call where we get together as a community to discuss ideas and topics that help shape the future of Stargate. Any discussion around digital assets should not be construed as investment advice or recommendation. Please remember to do your own due diligence and do your own research on any topics discussed and consult your own advisors. Fantastic. Good to see a couple folks jumping in. We are a couple minutes into the community call. I just started us off with the regular preface to the Stargate Finance Community Call. Remember to do your own research. No investment advice is given via the Stargate Finance Community Call. Now, it's been a busy couple weeks. The Stargate DAO has been particularly busy and active. Henlo. We saw quite a number of proposals go up via the governance forums. Many of which we'll discuss in depth today. And as I'm going through them, please feel free to drop comments and questions in the chat channel so that we can have a bit of a dialogue as opposed to me just, monologuing through the events that have unfolded over the last couple of weeks. Because I think it's important and lots of it was community driven. Therefore, I think the community should make their voice known. So let's start off with a recap. We'll go directly into some governance updates, as I think this was the more active part of the last couple of weeks for the community. We can kick off with the proposal that passed to deploy STG liquidity on Kodiak Finance, which is the leading liquidity aggregator / DEX on Berachain mainnet. This proposal aims to make Kodiak the STG hub on Berachain. Now, STG as a token has been deployed to a number of DEXs over its 3 years. That it's been live, and Berachain is Stargate Hydra's biggest connected chain. We've seen over $3 billion of volume to and from Berachain. So it's been a massive success that sort of proved the scalability of Hydra. We've discussed it together as a community a number of times. Therefore, I don't think we need to necessarily dive into the details behind why that's the case. But some of the core features that has enabled for Stargate, namely being able to see regular 8-figure transactions coming through the bridge into and out of Berachain, or from Berachain to another Hydra connected chain, has truly been a marvel to watch. As I always like to say, you can just head over to the overview page on Stargate and just have a gloss over the overview tab, and you should see some of those transactions coming through. Alrighty, so yes, that will be deployed imminently over the next, I think, couple hours, if I'm not mistaken. And that will be a 40-60 STG honey pool, right? So 40% in STG tokens and 60% in honey, which is the stablecoin pegged to the USDC asset on Berachain. It will be a Kodiak island, and I would sort of point people to the Kodiak documentation to better understand what a Kodiak island is and how it works with respect to keeping an always in range design for Berachain proof of liquidity. Now, what I think is really interesting about this one, and for our core DeFi users, is remembering that this pool will sort of enable us to play a role in Berachain's governance and sort of make contributions to the Berachain ecosystem, which I think will be a strategic sort of partnership for the Stargate DAO to have. Over time, Berachain have a system whereby bribes can be given to BGT governance participants, and those rewards would accrue to a vault that sits alongside this liquidity pool in Kodiak, and that would we would restake that. The Stargate DAO has written in the proposal that they would therefore restake those BGT tokens, the Berachain governance token, in order to play a role in Berachain's ecosystem growth, which I think it's nice to see Stargate DAO sort of extending its sort of tentacles into different ecosystems that have deployed on Hydra, and doing more than just setting up the bridge, playing an active role in sort of growing the ecosystem and having skin in the game. I think that's great to see. So stay tuned. We'll actually be putting out an announcement on Twitter alongside Kodiak to let people know that this pool has been deployed. I think it's something that over time the foundation aims to sort of increase communication surrounding is the DAO. What's going on with the DAO? The treasury consolidation, where are we deploying funds, where do we have active DeFi positions, how are those positions doing? That's something that the Artemis dashboard really set out to solve, which is a story for another day. I'm working very hard with the Artemis team to try and get more out of that agreement. Hopefully I can share a little bit more about that in due course. Second, next up, we have Stargate integration proposal from Swell chain. So Swell were looking for an L2 ETH pool deployment on their L2. This proposal outlines a request for the Stargate DAO to approve and enact a deployment of the Stargate DApp with an ETH pool on Swell Layer 2. This deployment aims to achieve a 5% yield on $5 million worth of ETH liquidity and will be supported by Swell's native incentive program. So Swell is incentivizing that pool. And I think we just recently deployed USDT 0 as part of our efforts to extend the USDT asset on Swell, which is part of the super chain. I think Stargate's on 6 or 7. I think we'll be going to Zora later today, even though there's been lots of commotion around the Zora token, which went live earlier today. I think Zora still has some cool things going on within their ecosystem, and they've also taken up the USDT 0 bridged asset. For anyone that doesn't remember exactly how it works, you have USDT 0 deployed by the USDT 0 team, and that's been deployed on Unichain, OP Mainnet, Berachain, Inc., Mega ETH when it goes live. That's been deployed natively, and then Stargate comes along in a similar fashion to Hydra and sort of says, we can deploy a bridged version of the USDT 0 asset in a fully compliant way with the USDT 0 team, and therefore with Tether themselves, and extend the interoperability of the Tether asset. Just seeing some questions coming in. I can sort of answer these in real time. Did the Swell proposal achieve quorum of 1.5 million votes? Let's quickly head over to the Stargate DAO snapshot and have a quick look. 1.3 million votes. Now, there's been some discussion within the community surrounding a legacy proposal that went up to sort of establish the rules and the criteria for the Stargate DAO governance process. This went up, I believe, after the zero TGE, after the zero airdrop, which obviously generated a lot of Sybil, as we say. So there were many, many users that were simply farming the airdrop and using the Stargate protocol, using the Stargate front end, sibling it. So just firing off transactions left, right, and center in sort of ingenuine way. Therefore, we had to adjust the parameters of the Stargate DAO governance process and the quorum, taking into account the users that might no longer be there after the airdrop had happened. Now, it's something that we need to discuss as a community, but the number that was put in there was 1.3 million votes for quorum, and a couple community members have noticed that not every proposal that has gone through has hit that quorum range. However, I think as a community we can agree. Exahash, I believe it was 1.5, give or take a certain amount. I mean, we can go to this now. It's probably worth just having a look at. I can share this in a link. Here we go. For anyone interested, here's the Stargate DAO governance process. Since we're talking about it, I think it could be worth sort of spending some time discussing this. I can spin up a channel in Gov discussion, and we could get everyone's opinions as to what a more apt quorum could be, given that we don't have Sybil anymore and we have genuine users, power users, and core community members that are part of the Stargate DAO governance process to ensure that we have a more fitting number. So for anyone just joining, take a look at that link. That's the Stargate DAO governance process proposal that went up 9 months ago that looks at the numbers with respect to quorum and how many votes each proposal needs to go through. Now, I think it's important that we note that it's quite difficult to get the numbers correct when you're dealing with Sybil. And I think what matters is that the DAO is aligned and that the DAO is getting things right with respect to new proposals. All right, in the interest of time, I'll keep things moving. So we went through the STG liquidity pool on Kodiak, which is a super exciting proposal and will be deployed imminently, I think within the next 24 hours. Make sure you check our Twitter channel on Stargate Finance X account. That will be up there for people to see a sort of strategic partnership between the Stargate DAO and the Berachain ecosystem via the BGT, Berachain Governance Token, that will be rewarded to that liquidity pool. We just discussed the Swell L2 ETH pool deployment. As mentioned, the USDT Zero asset has also been bridged there by Stargate. So lots going on within the superchain, the broader superchain ecosystem, really sort of planting our flag as the first mover there. Now, I think it'd be good to discuss some of the failed proposals. There was a proposal by the DeFi lead at the Stargate Foundation to deploy a wrapped staked ETH liquidity pool on Jellyverse on Sei. Now, the DAO didn't necessarily vote against this proposal, but rather voted to abstain. So I think it could be interesting from my perspective to hear a little bit more from the community as to why the DAO decided to abstain, just to have some reasons that I can feed back to the DeFi team and back to the broader foundation so that going forwards, we have a better understanding as to what the DAO is looking for in terms of investment returns and types of strategic deployments of capital from within the treasury. I think it's great the DAO is giving feedback in real time and abstaining in the sense that it means that we're collaborating and we've got a channel open between the foundation and the Stargate DAO and the community members to ensure that everyone's aligned with respect to the broader treasury consolidation proposals and farming yield and growing the DAO's capital in that sense. So yeah, feel free to put some questions or comments in the chat as to why the DAO might have abstained from the wrapped staked ETH liquidity pool on Jellyverse. Alrighty, we have one new proposal that is currently up for voting. It's a very timely proposal, one that has seen a lot of interest from the community within all the various channels in our Discord server, namely a balanced earnings distribution, increasing value accrual for STG stakers. So the updated fee structure proposed by this community member, Exahash, is as follows. So VESTG holders, namely stakers, would have 50% of the previous calendar month's transfer fees. So all protocol fees from the previous month, 50%. Half of them would go to VESTG stakers, and investment income from the things that we've just been discussing with respect to deploying treasury funds for the Stargate DAO. The yield that is accrued and generated from those positions would also be distributed to stakers. And the other 50% of earnings would be retained as POL, protocol owned liquidity. Now, if you go back to the early days of Stargate, the community was always POL maxi, right? So the idea is that if you optimize and you focus on the growth of protocol owned liquidity, it gives you more runway to grow and develop the Stargate protocol over time and keep up with the changing environment as it evolves rapidly in DeFi. And I think Stargate historically did a great job at that. I mean, the Artemis dashboard clearly states the data. The treasury value is north of $100 million, and arguably we're in a bear market. So during less tough times, the treasury overall value has been up north of $200 million. I even think I went back historical to like a couple years ago and it was up near $1 billion, right? So it's a very healthy and robust treasury. And I think that's one of the most interesting and appealing aspects of being a part of the Stargate community and being close to the center, discussing proposals of this nature. So not to digress, I think this is a really interesting proposal, and I think it's worth having some more discussion. It's currently open for voting and has about 600,000, if I'm not mistaken, votes at present. So that will need a little bit more voting, 710,000. So it's clearly coming together, and the DAO is making their voice known with respect to the balanced earnings distribution, increasing value accrual for STG stakers. Just to mention there, historically, it's been 1/6 of protocol fees that have gone to stakers. So that's 1/6 of protocol fees on a monthly basis, and it's paid out on or around the 10th of each month. And in the last couple months, that's averaged an APY on a monthly basis of 20 to 30%. So stakers have been doing pretty well. However, this would increase that to, as mentioned, 50%, and not only 50% of protocol fees, but also 50% of investment earnings. All right, I hope I did that proposal justice, because, yeah, I'd also like to say it's an incredibly well put together proposal, and really shows time and thinking that's gone into it by the community members that sort of discussed it and eventually put it forth within the forums. And I think it's, for me, it's truly great to see something like that, because it means that our community is engaged and focused and able to provide factual content and data that really helps us as a unit to move forward in a fast changing environment. I may as well just drop the link to that one. Right, there we go. That is the balanced earnings distribution. Great proposal by Exahash. Okie dokie. What did I have up next for everyone? Just looking at some comments coming in through the chat channel. I've been advised by largely. Yes. Seeing some discussion around team members staking within the foundation. I'm not 100% sure as to what the definitive sort of agreement is there. I think it was more just the internal policy that foundation members wouldn't sort of distract themselves from growing the Stargate protocol and focusing on their direct role, as it were, their jobs, our jobs, by staking and thinking about returns on STG tokens. However, I think it's great to see the community putting forth this kind of idea, and it has been discussed a couple times. We've been traveling. We recently went over to the continent, as in Europe, to meet some of the Stargate Foundation team members, some of the design and engineering team that are based on the continent. As you guys might know, I'm here in London, and the foundation headquarters is in London, and it was great to sort of see the team members and discuss some of the broader strategy as to where Stargate's going looking forward. Fantastic. Just seeing, yeah, keep the comments coming in. I'll just cover a couple more protocol updates since we've just gone through all the existing governance updates that are currently live or have been passed over the past 2 weeks. It's been a very busy 2 weeks for the Stargate DAO. For those of you that are just joining now, we went through the STG liquidity pool and Kodiak Finance, which will boost our sort of presence in the Berachain ecosystem via the BGT Berachain governance token. We spoke about the Stargate integration on Swell, an ETH pool on the Swell layer 2 chain, mentioned that the USDT Zero asset has already been bridged there by Stargate. We discussed the wrapped staked ETH liquidity pool on Jellyverse on Say, and I kindly asked the community members to provide some feedback so the DeFi team can think carefully about the kinds of investments that you guys would like to see and how we can facilitate that going forward. Finally, we just discussed the balanced earnings distribution proposal put forth by Exahash, a detailed proposal that aims to up the distribution of protocol fees and investment earnings to 50-50, up from a sixth, which would be just below 20%. There aren't that many protocol updates with respect to new chains. Stargate is on 44 chains, Stargate V2. It's 26 on Hydra, and the rest, 44 minus 26, was that 18? If my math is quick enough. So that's 18 chains that Stargate has deployed pools on. So it's an incredibly interconnected cross-chain liquidity transfer protocol. And I think it's probably worth covering some of the stats in Q1 and as we move into early Q2. I noted down that Stargate has done 8.285 billion, so just shy of $10 billion of volume on the Stargate protocol since January. So that's sort of a rough number for the performance in terms of volume for Stargate protocol. So that would probably be mostly V2 and a little bit of V1, but the large majority of that would be V2. I think that puts us on track to have our biggest year yet for the Stargate protocol. And it's worth mentioning that that doesn't include OFTs or custom integrations or bespoke solutions such as USDT Zero bridged or CCTP and a couple other things that are coming within the broader product suite of the Stargate brand. So some pretty big numbers, and I think it's super exciting. Then we have 3.2 million transactions on the Stargate front end in 2025. That's a lot of clicks. The goal was always, single click transactions, seamless cross-chain liquidity transfers, and 3.2 million of those in Q1 alone is a testament to having achieved that goal. And all the chains you can go to is quite the marvel. It's an incredible protocol in that respect. Last stat that I had for you guys, just over $1 million. So $1,021,600 worth of fees that have been generated in Q1 plus the beginning of April, should we say, by the Stargate protocol, 1/6 of which has been paid out to stakers. So that's just shy of $200,000 USDC in stables that has been paid out to VE STG stakers. So doing pretty well. GM pioneers is what I say to Sad Watermelon. It's great to see you here on the call. Yeah, it's great to see some of the core community members showing up. GM. What else have we got going on? General notes and discussion. I see some comments coming in. Let me address some of the comments and questions. Yes, Push the Button has mentioned that it would be nice once the rewards for staking are claimable with some timely regularity. I think this is something that we need to get right going forward. Typically, I sort of reminded the foundation that we need to pay out fees on the 7th or 8th of each month, which gives us a couple days to do a very manual process. Remember, this contract was written 3 years ago in the early days of the Stargate protocol, and it contains some funky logic, essentially, that has epochs built into the... If you go to the fee distribution contract on Etherscan, you can scroll down to like line 500 or something. I can share it with you if you're very interested. And you'll see an epoch structure or logic contained in the contract that basically means that it takes about a week for people to be able to claim once the multi-sigs have signed the transactions and the fees have been distributed. So that means that it's actually 7 days after that happens. So yes, it's something that we need to fix, but as you are well aware, the code is immutable, the Stargate protocol is immutable, and it would require a proxy contract of sorts, which would have a little bit of a technical lift to build a new claiming contract that is more optimal, but I think it should be done and is something that we are discussing internally. Ogle's asking, my expectation is the current proposal would raise APR a lot for a minute, but in the end, it should encourage more DAO participants, which would average down the APR. That makes sense. That's probably the correct line of thinking. I see OX Nuts in the call. Maybe you could comment on that in the channel, in the chat channel. Yeah, naturally, 50% of protocol fees, as I mentioned, is about $1 million in Q1, so there'd be about 500,000 USDC paid out to stakers. That would probably balance out or sort of assimilate in terms of the ratio of VSTG stakers, which is something Exahash duly noted in his proposal with respect to the amount of stakers and the time that they've locked up for. We had a target, an initial target, 15 million STG tokens staked with an average lockup duration of 2 years. However, the average staking duration hasn't met that. So we have enough STG staked. We have 37 million, so we doubled the goal for how much STG we wanted staked. But the average staking duration has fallen to approximately 312 days, which is well below the 2-year goal. That's a year. That's below a year. So I think it's also about looking at that metric, sort of time duration of lockup as well as total VSTG. But yes, very good point. Yeah, agreed. That's true. It's outdated. The community's feedback has been heard, and I will do my best to make sure that we work on a better solution for claiming fees. It shouldn't be a manual process, and it shouldn't be something that the community has to remind us to do every month. I think maybe as part of recent proposals, if they go through, when and as they go through, we could potentially sort of revamp the entire sort of fee distribution and claiming process for the Stargate community. I think that could be a great sort of initiative for me to kick off within the foundation. Because, by the way, the amount of products and services we're building on top of the Stargate protocol, but brand more generally, is something that I wanted to sort of close up with as we get to the end of this week's community call, because I think it's something that I believe the community should be fully aware of. Obviously, Stargate V1 and V2 are the core offerings of the Stargate brand. They are the beasts, right? They are the bellies of the beast, and they do the lion's share of volume, so forth and so on. However, a lot of what we're doing recently is expanding what is built within the Stargate brand. So it doesn't necessarily need to be protocol. Things are coming within the protocol that build on V2 and extend V2 and make it even better. But we have, as mentioned, we have the Aptos bridge. The Aptos bridge is something that wasn't built within Stargate's core repo. It was built by Layer Zero and handed over to the Stargate DAO. We have a couple other solutions coming. Hypercore is more or less protocol, but it was also a bespoke solution, moving UETH into Hypercore. That went live a couple weeks ago, which is another testament to how quickly we are able to move as a foundation. We truly believe part of our core philosophy is going to meet users where they are. Canonical bridges were always so static. They never moved. You had one interface. You didn't have an API. You didn't have a widget. You didn't have any of these things. And they were never able to go to new chains. Whereas Stargate, I mean, you just look at some of the visuals, some of the graphics that we've posted in recent times. It's a panoply and it's a constellation, no pun intended. And it keeps growing. And I think expect more of it. Lots more will come in that direction. CCTP was another example. OFTs, we are the home for all OFTs. I think I did the numbers. I crunched the numbers the other day. I think there's 238 OFTs available on the Stargate front end, and if we put maybe 5 to 10 new OFTs a week, that probably gets to 300 by the end of Q2. So really a large amount of tokens to transfer via the Stargate front end, which I think is another great aspect of the overall brand. Okay, what else do I have for you guys? Lots to cover. Any questions, feel free to put them in the chat and I can field them right away. We've discussed most of the core updates for the Stargate DAO. Lots has been going on, and it's great to see some of the core DAO participants here today asking questions and having put those proposals up. Lots of changes will be coming in due course. Inc. need ETH root. They can grow. Sodium already have one. Inc. chain needs an ETH root. Is that what you're saying, Casper? Noted. Got it. I will report back to the team. We can definitely get that set up in time. When Aptos rewards. So the latest update on Aptos rewards is that we've processed, on the back end, we've processed all the wallet addresses that used the Aptos bridge when the rewards were running. And that's all been calculated. What remains now is for a custom UI to be built such that users can claim their Aptos APT tokens. Again, there's so many things going on within the Stargate Foundation and all of these products and services, and the revamp that's coming for the Stargate front end, built from first principles, really built from the ground up. It's going to look a lot more modern, and a lot fresher, cleaner, easier to use. One of the aspects I focus on the most in my community role, and I think you guys will appreciate this, is working with users who have troubles or difficulties when using the Stargate UI. And I think there's elements on the Stargate UI that need to be improved such that the overall UX is better, right? Finding a destination chain, being able to know which tokens can be transferred to said destination chain, what's going on within that ecosystem. I think there's a really cool feature, and I might get in trouble for leaking it, but really cool feature that's coming that really will make the Stargate front end quite sexy, dare I say, is a notification system that will sort of point to different ecosystems and what's going on within the ecosystems, at the same time as being able to point to new proposals and new topics posted in the forums, right? That can all be directly associated to the user's wallet and displayed on the Stargate front end above the transfer UI. And there'll be a bunch of other features that are really cool, like basic and advanced transfer settings, which will allow the power users, many of whom are here today, to sort of have a better overall user experience when using Stargate. Yeah, it's going to really be quite beautiful. I'm so excited. I spent a lot of my time testing these things out and working with users alongside our wonderful mods to make sure that everyone understands how the Stargate UI works and how to use it without any hiccups. So this is all imminent. It's coming very soon. And I feel like I haven't given a very structured sort of roadmap. It's not something we typically do within the foundation. We just hope that you guys trust us to keep shipping. And we sort of believe that we've been doing that, especially in Q1 of 2025 and in the beginning of Q2. But anytime you have any questions about what we're building, when it's going live, and any feedback for us to sort of keep in the loop with respect to the end user research and development, if you like, or the end user perspective, please hit my line in any of the channels or let our mods know, and we can keep that built directly into the product. Fantastic. I've been talking, monologuing for half an hour by myself with you guys here. Always a treat, always a pleasure to keep you guys updated. Again, question from my end to you guys, if you have any ideas. I know we have quite a few researchers. It's great to see Biel's in here. Noro's here. Nuts still is a great researcher. One of the best things about Stargate is that we go to new chains and new ecosystems. We went to Glue recently. We went to Swell Chain. We're going to Swell Chain. We've got USDT 0 bridging into the super chain. We have a couple new chains going live on Hydra over the next couple weeks. We're going to Bearer Chain as part of the Treasury's efforts. So much going on. And my point is, Stargate is kind of like an alpha hub. You get to learn about DeFi. You get to learn about the new innovations, the new product launches, the new ecosystems, where users are going, as opposed to sort of staying static within one ecosystem. I think that's my favorite thing about Stargate, and hopefully I can sort of communicate and translate that over to you guys. Any podcasts coming up? Yes. And then some clues. Some podcasts. There are podcasts. I think Lamps. I always see Lamps wander off every now and then. He's like, podcast. I'm like, okay, sounds good, boss. Lamps definitely is in demand as the foundation lead at the Stargate Foundation. And I'm sure there'll be some podcasts coming out. Obviously, I'd be remiss to not mention Blue, our narrative lead, has definitely plotted, scoped out some podcasts for us all to be doing. I said earlier, we have some conferences happening this year. Another clue I could potentially give to the community is something I'm working very carefully on is the growth and development of the developer community, right? Builders on top of Stargate. Stargate V1, V2 has grown to be such a behemoth of a bridging protocol, of a liquidity network, a transfer protocol. We even go beyond the bridge these days, that we really have the underlying infrastructure to give developers the tools to embed Stargate's liquidity network directly into their application, to have dApps ready on day one, not just chains in the way that we did Berachain, where we did $1 billion into Berachain in a week or two. You could do the same thing for dApps within ecosystems. So if a new dApp is expanding into cross-chain lending, or a new dApp is setting up DEX within an ecosystem and needs some liquidity, Stargate's the place to go. And our API has actually been rolled out. It's in stealth mode, and I don't think we have too many developers on the call today. But if you have developers, there's a couple, but if you have developer friends or people that are looking to build on top of Stargate's prime liquidity network, reach out, because they can get early access. I can set them up with early access to the Stargate API. And over time, the goal is to have conferences and to have hackathons and bounties for people building on top of the API. There'll be a widget coming. There'll be something we call clusters coming too. So lots of things that people can build on top of. And we believe that's like almost the missing part of the community. If you check Stargate's Mirror page, you'll be able to see quite a few articles that have gone up recently. I'm just getting the link for everyone, and then we'll bring the community call to a close, because my voice is likely getting boring for everyone to hear at this point, or not. Maybe not. Maybe I have a beautiful voice. Who knows? But there's the Mirror page for the community. There's so many articles on there. Blue and Nuts have been doing a fantastic job at consolidating all of the beautiful, amazing things that have been built on top of Stargate. Whether that's Dinero's branded liquid staking tokens, or bootstrapping Boyko, the Boyko effort that bootstrapped the Berachain ecosystem, or EtherFi's LRTs. There's lots going on, right? Ton, the legacy mesh. There's so much, and I think it's a good place to go and read about what Stargate's been doing on the back end, on the developer side of things, that you might not necessarily see as part of our direct marketing efforts in the sort of past, but going forward, it's something we'll really be focusing on. Okay, I think that's that. Thank you everybody for coming today. It's been a good 35 minutes together. Any questions or any needs, please hit me, Jazz Champ, Drama, any of the moderators and admins, and we will do our best to serve your needs and help you have a great time using Stargate. Hoodies have been shipped. Hoodies have more or less all arrived. If anyone here didn't get a hoodie and would like a hoodie, count yourself in. Ping me somewhere in the channels, and we'll make that happen. It is the 23rd of April, 2025, beginning of Q2. Q1 was massive. Q2 is going to be bigger, and into the rest of the year. Stick around. Thank you for your attention, and have a great rest of your day.